Morning, everybody. Today's video is in regards to overcoming trauma, and chances are, if you are human, you have some form of trauma playing a role in how you see or perceive the world today. The thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that trauma, when it's unresolved, creates self-obsession or self-preoccupation. And one of the reasons I believe we currently have such a big outcry from groups who are identified with certain mental concepts is because we have separated the practitioners of true medicine, which treat the entire person, and created subdivisions where we treat parts of the person. So now you can go to a therapist, and if that doesn't work, you go to a psychiatrist, and then that causes physical health problems. And so you go to a general practitioner, and then there are subsets of that. And each doctor you see doesn't really know the entirety of your life, of your experience. They don't really take stock of your diet, your health, your past. They kind of take a present picture and then prescribe you medications or some kind of therapy. And I believe that our society today has strayed away from the traditional ways of healing, which used to see the picture as a whole and then treat the person based with a complete image of what they've been through and all of the components at play. So today we have a system that's not really working to address trauma very well. And we have a movement of self-preoccupation and self-affirmation based on the limited human way of seeing reality. So when we self-preoccupy around a certain concept or trauma, we create an eddy of energy, or we create an eddy of obsessive thoughts that circle around that idea and that notion. And so when we spend time circling around one specific self-important thought, we often begin to find more and more evidence for why that self-thought, self-reflection is true. And so we give birth to depression, or we give birth to anxiety, or we give birth to a very impoverished self-image that we then start trying to fix within that limited framework of mind. So I wanted to introduce some thoughts in regards to shamanic healing, which specifically addresses the eddies that are deeply rooted inside the individual that create these preoccupations. So these are techniques that I use in my healing sessions, and they are soul retrieval, cord cutting in terms of relationships, soul contract work, energetic intrusions, and belief pattern work. So we have a lot of different methods that we use, and usually the person's spirit will tell me which direction to go. So we have soul pieces that have gone dormant as a result of a traumatic experience. We have entanglement based on a past relationship that has created a negative self-concept and a belief that came along with that. We also have lower dimensional energies that get nestled into our field that are affirming self-defeating thoughts and then feeding on the negative energy that generates, on the suffering, on the depression, on the negativity, anger, those types of things. And then we have soul contracts, which were agreements that were made consciously or unconsciously as a result of a situation that has jeopardized our values in some way. So those are the general emotional and spiritual frameworks that allow us to ferret out the negative energy spirals that can be taken on. And I believe that this is the cure for today's collective unconscious suffering. And a huge group of people is seeking external validation for values that they have not earned or have not demonstrated. So they're looking for an external source to tell them their worth, their identity, their own value, because they cannot see it themselves. And then the pathway they are taking is extremely negative, hateful. They're resorting to guilt and shame in order to receive these virtues from the external world. And so what I say is the internal work is the only thing that will give you your value. It will give you your self-respect. It will help you get the virtues that you need in order to have a positive self-concept. There's no external validation that's going to correct your sense of self-worth when these concepts are present within you, and they are the lens through which you see, experience, and interpret the world. So once you begin to lift yourself out of the negative self-obsession, then you can begin to rise up and see beyond the preoccupations and the lenses within your life. And then you begin to see the steps or the goals that you can take in order to expand yourself. So self-preoccupation and negative self-concept will force you to close in on yourself, retreat from the world, to stop feeling the energies of other people or the energies of the universe that are calling to you. So you start to retreat from your own inner calling and that which provides value and meaning in your life. And so that takes you on a very, very negative, dark, downward spiral. So the moment you become aware that you have a trauma, you should set out immediately to come to terms with a trauma, to create a practice of forgiveness to yourself and to others. And once you have closure and forgiveness, you can close that chapter and you eliminate the need for the self-obsessive thoughts. In order to do that, you have to believe that you can do it. You have to believe that you have already inherent resources to do that. And the reason those thoughts are coming up are so they could be faced and released. They are not coming up because you have to force the outside world to affirm your values and worth. They are coming up because you have to claim your internal worth regardless of the circumstances of the outside world. The moment you begin to give of yourself out of the generosity of your heart, your value and self-worth will be lifted, and it will naturally be reflected by the people who are on the receiving end. So if we collapse into a selfish, self-obsessed state, you will continue to get negatively affirming reflections from the universe. And then the moment you step out to uplift others, to volunteer your time, to donate your resources, to be of service in any small way that you can, life will reflect to you your value and lift you out of the negative self-obsession. So that's my talk today. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again soon. Ciao.